Have you ever picked up a book thinking it's about one thing and then it ends up taking you down fascinating rabbit holes? That's exactly what happened to me with two nonfiction books I read recently and honestly cannot stop thinking about. The Library Book by Susan Orlean and The Lost Gutenberg by Margaret Leslie Davis. Both of them start with a simple idea: libraries and books. But then they open up these incredible worlds of stories you never saw coming. Let's start with the library book. It begins with a real mystery. On April 29th, 1986, a devastating fire tore through the Los Angeles Public Library. Hundreds of thousands of books were destroyed, and many more were damaged beyond what most people would think salvageable. It was one of the largest library disasters in American history, and for a long time, nobody knew who started it. But here's what surprised me: the fire is really only about a third of the book. The rest is something else entirely: interesting people, unexpected side stories, and what I can only describe as a genuine love letter to libraries. Take this detail I had never once thought about before. When books get water damaged, from a fire, a flood, anything, there are teams of specialists who literally freeze them. They freeze the books and then dry them in giant vacuum chambers in a process called freeze drying. It slows the decay just enough to buy time for restoration. Science, history, and preservation all wrapped up in one image. And then there are the librarians. Orlean takes you through a parade of head librarians throughout the history of the LA Public Library, and some of them are truly eccentric personalities, the kind of characters you couldn't invent. But what really stayed with me was this bigger idea running through the whole book. Libraries aren't just quiet places with books anymore. They help people find jobs, they teach technology, they connect communities. They've become one of the last truly free public spaces we have. Walk in, no purchase required, no membership fee, no judgment. I wasn't expecting to feel moved by a book about a library, but I was. I've actually made a few videos about using free equipment at libraries, things like 3D printers and laser cutters, so I'll link those below if you're curious. Now, The Lost Gutenberg, and I'll say this up front: I'm still not entirely sure why the book calls it lost, because this particular copy was never actually lost. But don't let that stop you, because the story is extraordinary. This book follows one single copy of the Gutenberg Bible across 500 years of history. And along the way, Margaret Leslie Davis teaches you about Johannes Gutenberg himself, the inventor of movable type, who quite literally changed the world. Time magazine named him one of the people of the century in 1999. And when you read about what he actually had to figure out, the paper, the ink, the font, the press itself, you start to understand why. Printing didn't just make books cheaper, it made knowledge accessible to people who had never been able to reach it before. It spread literacy beyond the wealthy and the powerful. It changed everything. The book also pulls you deep into the world of rare book collectors, and that world is fascinating. Some people spend fortunes chasing these objects. The particular copy Davis follows travels through monasteries, private collectors, and dealers across centuries before eventually landing in Japan, where it was digitized and is now viewable online for free. 500 years of history, and now anyone with an internet connection can look at it. One more detail I loved: each surviving Gutenberg Bible is actually slightly different. After they were printed, artists went in by hand and added decorative artwork and lettering. These aren't identical objects. Each one is its own thing. So here's what connects these two books. They both start small and specific: a fire, a single Bible, and then they just keep opening up. History, technology, human obsession, disasters, collectors, and this larger question of how knowledge moves through the world and why it matters. If you love nonfiction that keeps surprising you, where you finish a chapter and think, I genuinely did not know that, these two belong on your list. I've put Amazon links to both books in the description below. Just a quick note that I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy through those links, I may earn a small commission, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. Or given everything we just talked about, you could walk into your local library and borrow them for free or go online and reserve a digital copy. Funny how that works. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever read a nonfiction book that started as one thing and then just went in all kinds of unexpected directions? Drop the title in the comments. I am always on the lookout for my next great read. Thank you so much for watching.